Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. It has been confirmed that Joseph Parker will be coming into his WBO world title fight against Hughie Fury in tip-top shape later this month, having lost more than 20 pounds in training camp. Full disclosure up front, much of the following information and video, which you may have seen elsewhere in various forms on news and other boxing websites, it has been supplied by Duco Events, which promotes Parker. Okay, so the 25-year-old New Zealander, he is currently training at David Haye's gym in South London before he heads for Manchester for the September 23rd fight. I'll read a few lines from the media statement here before I get to the 2 minutes of David Haye, and then I'll follow up with a few thoughts of my own. Okay, here goes. Superstar boxer David Haye can see a remarkable transformation in Joseph Parker following his intense training camp in Las Vegas. Haye last saw Parker in early July, and the Kiwi was out of shape after overindulging in an 8-week holiday following the May 6th victory over Razvan Kajanu. Parker currently weighs around 110 kilos.
He's trimmed that up. Clearly, he's been eating, sleeping, and training, and not much else. As I know what it takes to sort of whip yourself into a great condition, and he's obviously been living the life. And yeah, he's a completely different human being than the one that was here. Was it 10 weeks ago? Hughie Fury's got a very awkward style, very underrated defence, and it could sort of pose Joe a few tricks early doors until he gets to grips with things. But so if it's all about patience, all about not getting frustrated in the heat of the battle and keeping a cool head, I think that's the best advice I could give.
I guess the UK is this is my first fight in the UK. I feel this is the best I've ever felt. If I can't get past Hughie, then I think I have to go back to the drawing board or whatever.
A win against Hughie Fury in the UK, in Manchester, will be absolutely huge for Joseph Parker's brand. It really would put his name up there in lights, and it would really get the British media really calling for unification fights. At the moment, he's kind of a little bit of an unknown. Although he's a champion, he hasn't sort of been on these shores. He's popped over from time to time and teased us, but to come over us and show us what he's got with a spectacular win, that would really put his name up in lights, and it would really call for one of the big unification fights with the likes of Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua. These are the big marquee showcase names. This it really put his name into the hat. All he needs to do is win, get his hand raised by any means, and then he can look forward to much bigger things. But this fight, he's not going to. I don't believe he's going to have the luxury of picking and choosing a knockout or a point. He's going to need to have the fight of his life. He's going to need to be physically on point. He's tactically going to need to be on point. The Fury's head coach really knows his stuff.
Okay, so a little bit to unpack there. On Parker's conditioning, I think it was clear to most of us that judging by social media posts of him training, that Parker was looking in really good shape in recent weeks and a bit leaner than he had come in for his last fight. And Duco was saying he's currently about 110 kilograms, which is 242 pounds when converted. I do feel that, Parker has looked in the past at his best and sharpest when he's fought around the 240 mark or there or thereabouts. And from memory, the past couple of fights, I think he was something like 246 and 250 pounds respectively. So judging by the training clips and even from the one in that Haye video, Parker is looking good. He is looking explosive on the pads there. Okay, next. So Haye, I think, was right when he said Fury will be awkward and it may take Parker some time to work him out. But the key is not to get frustrated and just be patient. That is really good advice, because I think against Kajanu in May, he did look a little bereft of ideas when his plan to KO him didn't materialise. So I think keeping a cool head and patience will be key. In terms of what a win means, I also think Haye is right when he says it would boost Parker's brand. I guess the rub here is that, how much it boosts his brand is dependent on how good he looks. But he's got to get the win first, right? But winning is winning, and it will take Parker closer to a potential unification fight, should that be the route that he chooses. I would also agree with the sentiment from Haye that Parker will need to have the fight of his life. There does seem to be a little bit of a view from some fans that this is going to be a walk in the park for Parker. I don't think that will be the case at all. This is going to be a tough fight. These guys are both really, really good boxers. It's no gimme fight. And as I've been saying, I think this fight will tell us a lot about how good both fighters really are. Right now, there's a little bit of a void in our knowledge about that. I mean, to be fair though, in the wider division, we don't know how good some of the guys are because they simply aren't fighting each other. So this is a really good barometer for how good Parker is and how good Fury is. Another little interesting side note here, so we're off the David Haye comments here, but this is about David Haye. I was just wondering, how nervous do you think Duco Events might be about the fact that Parker is training at Haye's gym? I remember Kevin Barry saying a little while ago that Haye was also likely to organise security and some other things for their stay in London. Remember that Parker is coming off contract in a little over a year. So David Haye does have a bit of a vested interest here to put his best foot forward. Remember, he's also a promoter. So he's got a chance to show why someone like Parker should join his stable of fighters and what sort of treatment and professionalism, etc., that he could expect if he did. And just before I go, a bit of an update here. You may remember Hennessy Sports, which promotes Hughie Fury. It hadn't responded to multiple requests for information from me for certain information about the build-up, ticket sales, the undercard, all that sort of thing. And it later blocked me on Twitter. So they have since unblocked me. And they've also let me know, maybe somewhat ominously, they are watching the channel. So I have actually extended or re-extended the opportunity to them to answer some questions about ticket sales, the undercard, and the general build-up, which, hasn't, from, all appearances, been a magical one or something that's gone, really, really well. It seems to have been a little bit undercooked in my view, and certainly a lot of fans are saying this as well. But right now we're back to radio silence, so I thought, well, given they say they are watching, if you do have anything you'd like to add and say to fans about the build-up, what's happening with Hughie right now, that sort of thing, feel free to contact me on Twitter, DM me or whatever, or dig out one of the unresponded emails that I sent you. Okay, so certainly some interesting comments earlier from David Haye and some interesting information from Duco Events about Parker and his current conditioning. What do you make of it all? Do you think Joseph Parker is going to look pretty good here, or isn't it going to be enough? Will Hughie have too much for him? Or will it be the other way around? Let me know your thoughts loud and often. Drop a comment. I'm out.